My girlfriend cheated on me with my best friend at the gym for months, but when I discovered his pattern of seducing his friends' girlfriends, I exposed them all, and now I'm with his ex, while he lost everything. I'm 27 years old, work in finance in a downtown corporate building, and 6 months ago I discovered that the two people I trusted most in the world, my girlfriend and my best friend since high school, were betraying me in the most twisted way you can imagine. And it wasn't just a one-night thing. No, it was systematic, manipulative, something that made me doubt my own sanity for months. I need to tell this story because there are still days when I can't believe all that actually happened. And because in the end, in the most unexpected way, things turned in my favor in a way I never would have anticipated. I should start at the beginning, I suppose. I met Sophie about 2.5 years ago at a coffee shop near my office. I went there every morning for my coffee, that office worker routine we all have, and she was the barista who always served me. She was pretty, like really pretty, with that kind of artsy, hipster style that girls who study something related to design or communications have. Turns out she was doing a master's in marketing while working at the coffee shop. We started talking. First just greetings and comments about the weather, then longer conversations when there weren't many people. After about 3 months, I asked for her number and we started officially dating. Everything was perfect. I mean, she was fun, smart, we got along incredibly well. My family adored her. My friends thought she was great. I was completely in love. Thought she was the one, honestly. Ryan was my best friend since high school. We literally knew each other since we were like 14 years old. We'd been through everything together, the typical teenage stupidities, our first girlfriends, college, everything. After college, he decided to get into the fitness world, got certified as a personal trainer, and worked at one of those trendy boutique gyms. I wasn't super into the gym, honestly. Went occasionally, but it wasn't my passion like it was for Ryan. He was always the typical charismatic friend, the one everyone likes, super sociable, always with funny stories. He had a girlfriend, too. Emma was her name. They'd been together about a year when all this started. She was also a trainer at the same gym. The four of us would hang out sometimes, dinners, movies, normal couple stuff. Things started to change about a year ago. Sophie mentioned she wanted to get in shape, that she wanted to start going to the gym more regularly. I told her Ryan could help her, that he worked at a really good gym and would probably give her a discount or something. It seemed like the perfect idea. My girlfriend and my best friend training together, we'd all become closer, right? Ryan gave her a membership at friend's price and started training her personally. At first, everything seemed normal. Sophie went to the gym like 3 times a week, came home tired but happy, told me about her routines, about how Ryan was an excellent trainer. I was proud of her. She looked healthier, happier. But after about 2 months, I started noticing weird things, small things at first, nothing that made me suspect anything serious. Sophie started going to the gym more often, like 5 or 6 times a week instead of 3. She said Ryan had designed a more intense program for her. Okay, I thought. She's committed to her health. That's good. But then she started coming home later. Before she'd get home around 7 p.m., now she was getting in at 9, sometimes 10 at night. When I'd ask her, she'd say she'd stayed doing extra cardio or that Ryan had given her a longer session. She started mentioning Ryan constantly, like in every conversation. Ryan says this. Ryan recommends that. Ryan thinks I should do this other thing. At first it didn't bother me because, well, he was my best friend. But after a while it was like, do you really need to mention him in every conversation? What really started worrying me was her phone. Sophie had always been open with her cell phone. Left it. Around, I knew her passcode. Normal stuff for couples who trust each other. But suddenly she started putting it face down all the time, taking it even to the bathroom, jumping every time she got a notification. One night we were watching a movie and her phone rang. She grabbed it super fast and I saw it was a message from Ryan. I asked her what he wanted and she said something about an exercise routine, but the way she closed the phone was weird, like defensive. I started getting that feeling in my stomach, that intuition that tells you something's not right, but your brain doesn't want to accept it yet. I tried to talk to her about it casually. I said something like, "Hey, I feel like lately you're spending a lot of time at the gym. I miss you. She got super defensive. Told me I was being controlling. That she had a right to have her own interests and hobbies. That I should be supporting her instead of questioning her. She made me feel guilty. Like really guilty. I thought, maybe she's right. Maybe I'm being insecure and possessive. I come from a family with money. She came from a more modest family. And I always had that insecurity that maybe I was too boring for her, too traditional. So I swallowed my doubts and tried to be more understanding. Ryan also started acting weird. Before we'd see each other often, grab beers, watch sports, guy stuff. But suddenly, he was always busy. When I'd text him to make plans, he'd respond hours later with vague excuses. When I finally managed to see him, he'd mention Sophie constantly too. He'd tell me things like, "Your girlfriend is progressing incredibly. She's one of my best clients. She has so much dedication." Once he told me, "You're a lucky guy. Sophie is special." And the way he said it seemed strange to me. But again, I convinced myself I was being paranoid. The moment where everything started to collapse was about 7 months ago. I went to the same coffee shop where I met Sophie. I needed to work on my laptop outside, the office, for a few hours. I was sitting in a corner when I heard her voice. She was there with some friends. Hadn't seen me. They were going to sit at a table near me, but on the other side of a column, so they couldn't see me, but I could hear them perfectly. At first I didn't pay attention, but then I heard my name. One of her friends asked how things were going with me, and Sophie let out a laugh, like a laugh I'd never heard from her, kind of mocking. She said, "He's fine, he's sweet and everything, but he's so predictable, so boring. Work, gym, home, repeat. He has no passion for anything." And then she said, "Ryan is completely different. He's intense. He knows what he wants. He makes me feel alive." I froze. Literally felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. I kept listening because I needed to know how far this went. Another friend asked her if something was going on with Ryan, and Sophie stayed quiet for a moment. Then she said, "It's not what you think, but there's chemistry. There's definitely chemistry. He has a girlfriend. I have a boyfriend. But when we're together, it's like no one else exists. I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like something is eventually going to explode." I left without them seeing me. Couldn't confront her in that moment because I was in shock. Literally couldn't process what I'd just heard. I got to my apartment and sat on the couch for hours trying to decide what to do. Part of me wanted to confront her immediately, but another part thought maybe I'd misinterpreted, that maybe she was just being dramatic with her friends. That night when she arrived, I acted normal, but inside I was destroyed. She gave me a kiss, like nothing happened, asked about my day. We made dinner together. Everything was so normal on the surface, but I knew something was terribly wrong. The next day, I decided to confront her. I told her we needed to talk and told her what I'd heard. I expected her to get defensive or deny everything, but her reaction was worse. She laughed and told me I was exaggerating, that she was just showing off to her friends, that girls talk like that all the time about hot guys, that it didn't mean anything. She told me she loved being with me, that Ryan was just her trainer, that I was misinterpreting a casual conversation. When I asked her to show me her messages with Ryan, her face changed completely. She flatly refused, told me that was an invasion of her privacy, that if I didn't trust her, then our relationship had no future. Again, she made me feel like the bad guy. I apologized, told her maybe I was being too sensitive. She hugged me and told me she loved me, that she'd never hurt me. I wanted to believe her. I really did. I decided to confront Ryan too. I called him and told him we needed to meet. We met at a bar and I went straight to the point. I asked him if something was going on with Sophie. Ryan looked at me like I was crazy. He told me, "Bro, seriously? Are you questioning our friendship? Sophie is my client, nothing more. Yeah, we train a lot because she's committed to her goals. But that's it." He told me Emma, his girlfriend, was always there at the gym, that if anything inappropriate was happening, she'd know. He made me feel like a paranoid, jealous idiot. I talked to Emma too that day. She was with Ryan at the bar. She told me the same thing, that I was misinterpreting a normal professional trainer-client relationship, that Ryan mentioned Sophie only because she was one of his most dedicated clients. The next 2 months were a nightmare. Sophie went into perfect girlfriend mode, like extreme love bombing. She'd cook my favorite meals, plan romantic dates, constantly tell me how much she loved me. She stopped going to the gym as often, just 3 times a week like at the beginning. I thought maybe it had all been a rough patch, that we'd gotten through the crisis, but that feeling in my stomach never completely went away. Something inside me knew things weren't right. It was Rachel, one of Sophie's co-workers at the coffee shop, who contacted me. Rachel and I knew each other by sight. She'd always been friendly to me. One day, she sent me a direct message on Instagram. She told me she needed to talk to me about something important. We met for coffee and she showed me her phone. There were screenshots of the coffee shop's shared calendar, the one they use to coordinate shifts. Sophie had been blocking long periods marked as extra shifts or study meetings, but Rachel knew those shifts didn't exist because she managed the schedules. They coincided exactly with the days Sophie was supposedly at the gym late. Rachel told me, "Look, I don't want to get in trouble, but I like you, and you deserve to know the truth." Sophie has been lying about her schedules for months. And with that information, I went back to review everything. I remembered that Ryan worked until 10 p.m. on the same days Sophie supposedly had long sessions. I remembered all the strange comments, the looks, the secret messages. Everything started making sense in the worst possible way. But I needed real proof, something concrete that couldn't be denied or justified. Chris, another trainer at the gym where Ryan worked, had always been cordial to me. I contacted him and asked him directly if he'd noticed anything weird between Ryan and Sophie. Chris hesitated at first, but finally told me yes, that several trainers had commented that Ryan and Sophie would stay in the private training room for hours after closing. That the lights were off, but they were still in there. He told me the gym had security cameras, but only the manager had access. I explained my situation, and Chris, who apparently wasn't a big fan of Ryan for other reasons, talked to the manager and got me access to footage from the last few weeks. What I saw destroyed me, but also gave me the clarity I needed. There were multiple videos of Sophie entering the private training room with Ryan, the door closing, and then hours passing without them coming out. In one of the videos, taken from the hallway camera, you could see through the small window in the door that the lights were off, but there was movement inside. In another video, Sophie came out of the room around 11 p.m., fixing her clothes and hair, followed by Ryan 5 minutes later. There was no doubt about what was happening. I saved all the videos, all the screenshots, all the messages. That night when Sophie got home, I told her we needed to break up. She was surprised, asked me why, tried to hug me. I told her, "I know what you've been doing with Ryan." Her face went pale. She tried to deny it, but I just said, "Don't insult me by denying it. I have proof." She started crying, saying she was sorry, that it had been a mistake, that she loved me. I told her she had 1 hour to get her stuff out, and that I never wanted to see her again. I blocked her number, blocked Ryan, blocked everything. What happened next was something I never would have predicted. 2 days after the breakup, I received an email from an anonymous account. The email contained a giant PDF file with screenshots of conversations, dates, photos. It was from one of Ryan's ex-girlfriends from like 3 years ago. She'd heard through mutual friends that I'd broken up with Sophie because of Ryan and decided to contact me. In the PDF was a whole pattern of Ryan's behavior that went back years. Apparently, Ryan had a modus operandi. He'd become close friends with guys with pretty girlfriends, offer to train them for free or at a discount, and systematically seduce them while maintaining his own relationship. It was like a game to him, a challenge. The ex-girlfriend who contacted me had been a victim of the same scheme, but with her boyfriend who was Ryan's friend. She had proof of at least 4 previous cases where Ryan had done exactly the same thing. I sent all the information, including the gym videos, to Emma. I didn't want to hurt her, but she deserved to know the truth. Her reaction was nuclear. Emma took all the evidence and posted it on the gym's social media page, tagging Ryan, Sophie, everyone. The post went locally viral within hours. The gym fired Ryan immediately. He lost his trainer's license for unprofessional behavior, and no other gym in the city wanted to hire him. His clients abandoned him en masse, many of them women who suddenly realized he'd probably tried the same thing with them. Sophie also faced consequences. Her entire social circle found out what she'd done. She lost friendships. Her reputation was destroyed. The most ironic thing is she tried to seek comfort in Ryan, but Ryan literally ghosted her. Turns out he never had serious intentions with her. For him, she was just another trophy, another game won. Sophie had a public breakdown, sent me like 50 messages from different numbers, begging for forgiveness, saying she'd been manipulated by Ryan, that she really loved me. I blocked everything. Emma contacted me several times to apologize, to say she had no idea what Ryan was doing, that she'd also been deceived. I believed her because it made sense. Ryan had been incredibly careful. And Emma worked different shifts than Ryan specifically, so they wouldn't interfere with their routines. In the following weeks, more victims came forward. 3 other girls who'd been girlfriends of Ryan's friends contacted Emma and me with their own stories. It was chilling to see the pattern. All the stories were almost identical. Ryan would befriend the boyfriend, offer to train the girlfriend, slowly seduce her, and eventually cause the breakup. Some of these relationships had ended years ago, but the girls had never connected the dots until now. A couple of guys, Ryan's ex-friends who'd lost their girlfriends because of him, came out publicly on social media telling their experiences. Ryan became persona non grata in our entire social network. Emma and I started talking more often. At first, just to share information and process everything that had happened, but gradually we realized we had a lot in common. We'd gone through the same betrayal, understood each other's pain in a way no one else could. We started going out as friends, then those outings became more like dates. We didn't want to rush. We were both hurt and cautious, but there was something there. A real connection built on honesty and shared trauma. Today, about 6 months after all that mess, Emma and I are officially together. Last week, we got back from a vacation in Hawaii. Basically our healing and new beginning trip. It's ironic and maybe a little weird how we ended up together, but it works. We trust each other completely. There are no secrets, no games. Ryan, according to mutual acquaintances, ended up working at a protein shake shop, lost his entire social circle, and apparently moved to another city because he couldn't get work in the fitness industry here. Sophie left the coffee shop, dropped out of her master's program, and moved back with her parents to another state. I heard she tried to contact Ryan several times, but he blocked her completely. She found out the hard way that she never meant anything to him. I'm not going to lie. The first months after discovering everything were horrible. I questioned everything, my judgment, my ability to trust people. I felt like an idiot for not seeing the signs earlier. But looking back, the signs were there. They were just covered by layers of manipulation and gaslighting. Ryan was expert at this. He'd done it so many times, he had the process down perfect. Sophie was naive and let herself be manipulated, but that doesn't excuse her from the decisions she made. They both betrayed me consciously, repeatedly, for months. What surprises me most about all this is how the truth eventually comes to light. I could have continued in ignorance, but small cracks in their lies, people with conscience like Rachel and Chris, and previous victims who decided to speak up, it all combined to expose the complete truth. And that public exposure didn't just give me justice, but all the people Ryan had hurt before. There's something peaceful in knowing he won't be able to do this to anyone else, that his reputation is permanently ruined, that he finally faced real consequences for his actions. Emma says that sometimes she feels like our relationship emerged from something so negative that she worries it's built on a weird foundation. But I don't see it that way. Yes, we met through Ryan, but what we have now is completely independent of that. We've built something honest, something where we both know exactly what it feels like to be betrayed, and that's why we value loyalty and transparency above all else.